This is really weird. Hello, welcome back to Crushing Sounds. My name's Chris. I mean Mike. Um, Chris asked me to read out this intro that he's read for me. I'm a stupid moron with an ugly face and a big butt, and my butt smells, and I like to kiss my own butt. I am joined today by Smile More.
Yeah, at least two-fifths of us
Two of
anyway.
Smile More.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
never met these guys before, so this should be interesting. How are you both doing today?
Doing really good, buddy. This is very surreal for me to be here letting the reins go like this, but I'm very grateful for you to be doing this, buddy. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here too. It is weird. Like, Chris has been doing Crushing Sounds for what? How many years now, Chris?
I started it as a written website 10 years ago. Moved on to YouTube about 5 years ago now.
Well, there you go. And so like we've been friends for most of that time. Uh and yet never have we ever cross-pollinated Smilemore into Crushing Sounds.
I was
So how
relatively
fitting that it is Mike to
exactly.
Yes.
finally interview us.
Yeah.
I've always kept the two entities separate because I didn't want
Yeah.
either to become a bigger priority than the other. So it feels like the Avengers Endgame of my life happening
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I
I've
mean, we are in
never,
the end game now.
yes, I've
Quite.
never interviewed a band in my life, so let's hope this doesn't go completely tits up. But I mean, what better time to combine Crushing Sounds and Smile More because you're in the Metal to the Masses final in Bristol. So that's the basis of this interview, of course. So I guess the obvious question that you'd ask any kind of band, how did Smile More come to be?
Smarmore started in my little brain. So I was working in a restaurant, studying at BIM, and I was kind of getting sick of doing acoustic songs, and wanted to move more into the metal space. At the time, I was like really into System of a Down and Tool and bands like that. And then my head chef, who was like a proper old school punk, was like, "I'm going to give you a name, and you have to make a band." I was like, "Cool." And he was like, "Tokyo Psycho." And I was like, that's pretty sick. So then I set myself on my little journey to make Tokyo Psycho. Um, and I'd known Chris and Dale for quite a while. So I reached out to Chris straight away and was like, "Chris, I'm making a band. You want to be in the band?" And Chris was like, "Yeah, I want to be in the band." And we were like, "Wicked." And then I hadn't said anything else to Chris, but I always like at the time Dale was just in every local band. Like
Yeah.
he was just doing everything.
There's always one.
Yeah. So I messaged him and I didn't want to impose. It shows my confidence at that age. And I was like, "Dale, do you know any good bass players?" And he just replied, "Me." So then we recruited Dale, and at the time we didn't have a drummer and we didn't have a guitarist. And the one guy that replied to the post that could provide both was Johnny. Um, I feel so bad for him. Like when I first marketed the band, I missed the mark entirely.
Yeah.
I was like,
You gave me a completely different brief to what you gave Johnny.
yeah, yeah. Like with Chris, I was like, yeah, something quite dark and theatrical. With Johnny, I was like, yeah, so kind of like an emo thing. Like I was thinking about the old school kind of. I say old school at the time, it wasn't like My Chemical Romance, Black Parade album, where like it's big concepts, um, condensed into very palatable music, and then integrating a bit of that kind of System of a Down edge to it. That's where it lived in my head to begin with. And then our first drummer came with Johnny, a guy named Aiden, who was he was a really creative human being. I did feel for him. So he there's always, again, like if we say there's always one for someone that's in multiple bands, there's always one member of a band when it starts that is their life is in limbo a bit, and he was a bit of a drifter, and he just kind of really struggled to prioritize his playing basically. So yeah, that was how the first idea came about, and it was actually Aiden that gave us the name Smilemore. So Aiden used to, he's a bit of a ruffian, used to graffiti a lot, and his graffiti tag was Smilemore.
Right.
And he just turned around to us and he was like, "We should call the band that." And because we've been going around for weeks trying to come up with
Oh,
something.
we had so many different
Yeah,
names.
some of them were really a bit too prog for what we were making. Like I think Absinthe Mind was one of them.
Yeah, that's where
You
that
know,
title came from.
yeah, stuff like that. And then that landed, and we couldn't beat it, so it became the name of the band.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's how we got
Just
made.
fit the vibe better than anything we could else. I mean, I think Bane of Cain was the only other option.
I liked Bane of
I
Cain.
liked Bane of
Yeah,
Cain, but
but
Smartmore just suits the vibe.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think so. I mean, that kind of leads on to the next question, which is what was the kind of original inspiration for the vibe you wanted to create with Smartmore?
It was always supposed to be like really dark,
Mm,
but with an air of cheekiness, basically. Because I think when we originally started, we wanted it to be about the playwright Sarah Kane, and take inspiration from a lot of her work. That wasn't going to be all we would write about, but that was kind of the earliest ideas were based on her plays. And if you've read her plays, you'll know they're really, really fucked up. So we wanted to play around with that basically, but we always had a cheeky vibe to what we wanted to do. So I think the vibe is one of the things I think has stayed the most consistent over the years,
yeah,
that our musical approach has changed quite dramatically. But I think our vibe has kind of been there from the word go, and I think that just happened naturally. I don't think we ever intended it to be there when we formed, but it just sort of happened, and we had fun with it. And I don't think we would enjoy this band nearly as much if we didn't do that.
yeah. Like to elaborate on what Chris was saying, like the one thing that always stuck with me was Sarah Kane, and that was, she's a playwright I discovered in my late, like in my mid-teens. I was still in secondary school. Was the very gritty, real, sick sense of humor that she had. She would write some of the most horrific passages of like really discordant, morbid, like just absurd, graphic pain, right? Like 448 Psychosis springs to mind. And in the same breath, she'd be hitting you with some just really like nihilistic jokes about living and reality. And I think that's probably also why the name Smile then stuck, because the reason it stuck so well was I've always had that feeling of like the world around us is so morbid, is so fucked up. We see so much going on. I mean, without getting into cultural and political issues now, there is so much happening in the world that causes a visceral reaction in us. And the irony is that we're just told to kind of grit our teeth and smile our way through it and continue living life. And so the vibe was always like create songs that have a bit of depth, a bit of meaning, but mainly just laugh at the fact that the world is fucked. And with the band members that we had, there was no way we were going to create a super serious veneer of a band.
Yeah.
Anyone that has seen us knows Dale. Like Dale is a feature of the show as much as he is a member of the band. And when we were all talking life stories and stuff like that, like there was, Dale is the king of it. He will laugh about shit that happened in his childhood, but you will hear him explain it and you'll be like, mate, that is actually genuinely fucked up. Like, what the hell?
He'll say it so deadpan matter of fact, like it's not a big deal at all. And we're like, oh, dude, what?
That constitutes as abuse, Dale.
And we laugh.
And we laugh. And weirdly, the laughing takes away the discomfort.
Yeah, for sure. So with all that in mind, how would you describe your sound?
I've always said it's sort of a mix between Avatar and System of a Down. It's sort of the most basic way that I could go about it, really, but it's basically just whimsical, sinister, alternative metal, really.
Yeah, we like to dip a toe wherever we are interested. So across the band, like you've got a massive variety of influences. Chris is right. If you condense the sound down and you were just a stranger walking into a room, you'd get Avatar vibes straight away because it's big, bravado, high energy. We like the kind of poker beats and the circus thematics. But in the same breath, System of a Down, where some of the songs are very discordant, the structuring shifts. No two songs of ours necessarily have the same structure. Just high intensity, high energy, alternative metal, really.
Yeah, so I think I'd agree with that. So there was a question like, what genre would you call it? But I think we'd all probably agree it's avant-garde, prog-ish metal.
Yeah.
Our early days, I really, really tried to inject prog because my favorite bands at the time were Opeth and Tool and
Yeah, when you had
all,
Ruben as well in the
yeah,
band, he was really
exactly.
into
And
prog.
Ruben was is a massive prog head as well, so I was desperate to try and get some prog. I think the the only times we've ever rejected song ideas are when they've come from me because I try and do something like way too big, like 8 minutes full of riffs, and just basically I'm trying to turn this into Opeth and like
Yeah.
Chris, dial it back, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll write something
So
under 4 minutes.
I kind of like the fact that, I am the most musically illiterate out of all of us. But my role has always been to be kind of the sorting room floor, as it were. So to kind of back what Chris was saying, so Chris's songs tend to come in more complex than they end up being in the end.
Mhm.
And Johnny will admit that Johnny is what we'd call like a prolific songwriter. So he just pumps out
Yeah,
lots. And then what ends up happening with Johnny's is like we will work on it for a few weeks, and if it isn't hitting the mark, they then get dropped. So whereas Chris is sometimes we look at it and we go, mate, I'm really sorry, but from the offset, I don't know what to do. With Johnny's, we'll explore it because they're more simplistic in nature, and we're just seeing if we can make them more interesting, make them bigger. But there are times where those just kind of get left on the floor. Like Magic Juice, one of our
yeah,
old songs.
that was a live staple as well.
Yeah, and it just didn't fit with the new songs. It got dropped. There were better songs to keep from that era, and that's the thing. So I think what you'll see is like across the repertoire, any song that is a Chris song that we've kept really fucking good because it's high quality stuff that's all condensed down. And then all of Johnny's stuff, if you recognize that like there's like what maybe 5 songs in the set that are Johnny songs, he probably made about 10.
Yeah, yeah,
And we've
yeah.
just taken the 5 that work.
So it's kind of a hybrid between you've got primary songwriters, but it's also still collaborative.
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah.
so when you say you've got a Chris song, do you pretty much write the whole song?
Usually yes. When I come with a song, I've written the guitar for the whole thing, the whole structure, basically. Sometimes I'll come in with one idea, or like our new song System Overload, which is will be coming out, I think, probably like end of this year, maybe next year. That one was just me and Dalen fucking about in the rehearsal room, and that song just sort of fell out, basically. But yeah, usually I'll come with the whole song, whereas Johnny will come usually with maybe an intro and a verse, maybe a chorus.
Yeah.
Johnny is really good at having like that key idea that we unfold the song around, whereas I'm more of a here's what I've got, add your parts kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like I'm always the one that has the difficult conversations of like, yeah, I don't like that bit though. And they'll go, fuck off, Ollie, it's the song. I'm like, yeah, but I don't like that bit.
Because you write all the lyrics, don't you, Ollie?
Not all of them.
All
Not
right.
all of them. And that's changing more as time goes on. So what I've realized is Johnny really struggles to write full songs, like lyrically, but he is really good at picking out key melodies and bits. So some of the best bits of our songs are where Johnny has misheard a lyric I've had
Yeah.
and heard it as a better lyric.
Right.
So thank you for having me, which obviously was out about a year ago. That song was almost all written by Johnny. That was kind of his personal monologue through his time in prison. That was really personal. And then he sent it to me and was like, "Can you finish this for me?" And I was like, "Of course, like that'd be a massive pleasure." But usually it's the song gets written, I agonize over it for a couple of weeks, and then we play it, and slowly, through Johnny and myself, it kind of gets bounced around and simplifies usually because I usually overcomplicate it, and then the final product is something that is really palatable for the audience and much easier to sing a lot of the time.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure. We should probably talk about the new guy. We've not really mentioned him yet. What's his name? What's he do?
Dalen, good old Dalen.
Oh, nice and shining armor.
Oh man, he's literally like. I know we've had a Marvel reference at the start with the fucking Endgame, but yeah, it's like we're all there, we're all battered by the Thanos that is the music industry, and then Dalen just rocked up
On your
and
left.
revved us all. Yeah, we all just got revived. Yeah, Dalen.
How did he
What
come
a
into
guy.
it?
Yeah, how did we find him?
Oh, do you not know?
I think didn't you like put the word out and you found him or something?
No, no, no. Oh, there's law, right? This
Smile
is a
law.
Crushing
Here we
Sounds
go. This is
exclusive.
smile law.
So Ruben left for amicable reasons. He just was getting burnt out, and we sat down and had a conversation. I then started putting the feelers out, as you do. Now, one thing that this band is kind of very grateful for is that we've been in this scene quite a while. What that means is even if we don't really have the opportunity to play with bands, bands are aware of who we are. If we go to a gig together, they usually call us the Smile More lot, right? And I was quite overwhelmed really by the amount of bands that kind of reached out and started suggesting people, started saying like, reach out to this person, reach out to this person. And we demoed a lot of different drummers. Well, one other we did an in-person audition with, who was an amazing drummer, but he had kind of too much on his plate. And one kind of person in Bristol who now is on the Fuel from Our Fire podcast, Janine, she knew Dalen because Dalen used to play for Cybervoid, which was Jake Metal's band, which anyone in the local scene will know. Jake unfortunately passed away. When Jake passed away, Dalen moved back home for a couple of years just to kind of sort himself out and find out what he wants out of life. But upon moving back, he reached out to Jen and was like, I really want to join some bands. And the first thing she said to him was, you should join Smilemore. Dalen was on the fence. He didn't really know what we were, right? Like we said a minute ago with genre, like it's kind of all over the place. And until you get it, you don't quite get it as a musician. And I remember messaging him, and then we switched to voice messages, and he was just talking to me about the band, and he kind of got more excited the more we talked. And I remember the deciding factor of him was like, he literally sent me a message saying, but can I still be polyamorous? He was like, I don't want to be exclusive. He was like, I want to be in lots and lots of bands if I can be. Is that okay? And we said, yeah. And then we met him at the Crown.
No, it was the Hatchet.
It was the Hatchet. My bad. And we all talked to him, and he was lovely. Like he came across really well, really enthusiastic. And then got him in a room, and then it just hit. As soon as we got him playing the songs we already had out that he could learn and stuff,
Yeah.
he was already making variable adjustments to them to make them more in his drumming style.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the rehearsal, the enthusiasm that came off him, when I say he revived us, that's exactly how it felt. Finally, like after us all being quite low and quite burnt out, you had someone talking about our music that wants to play it with us, but with like the enthusiasm of like, I believe in this and I'm really excited by it. Yeah. And so then he's stuck, and he's just been like the Duracell energy bunny ever since, just pushing, you know? Yeah. It's mad to think that one person can come along and absolutely overhaul a band.
Yeah, it was really humbling as well to notice that, because obviously me, Ollie, and the rest of the guys that've been in there since day one, we've been just consumed by all that is Smilemore basically. But it was really nice when Dalen came in as someone from the outside to be really excited about our music, because like he was an outside force. He didn't have to give a shit about this music, but
he was
really
an
excited
unbiased
about
entity.
it. He was really excited about it, and that was really super validating that we should be excited about music too. So, and I feel like our writing style has changed dramatically since Dalen's joined, and everything we've written since he's joined has basically overtaken our set list at this point.
Yeah.
It's all new shit. It's all stuff we've written recently, with the odd exception here and there, just because we feel more alive now as a band.
Yeah, definitely. And it feels like there's untapped potential, right? Like in our heads, there's that feeling in the room of like, oh, hang on, we've seen Dalen play, but I don't think we've pushed him to his limits yet,
Oh,
No,
and no question.
So you just keep in your head, you keep going, yeah, but you can do more, and you just want to write stuff just to pull out and really understand that musician. So yeah, the entire like run of songs we've got to release are all songs that Dalen has gone in and either revamped or written, So Fist of Holy Fury was the first song we all wrote together, and it shows. I love the fact that the intro to it anyone that's known us for quite a while, is really reminiscent of
Of
Absinthe.
Absinthe, yeah, our very
Um,
first song.
there's a guitar lick that Johnny does, it's all tapping, and we didn't notice it at the time. And then we got in the studio and we were like, that is just Absinthe, but with a new drum pattern underneath and new parts. And it kind of really represents what we're doing as a band, which is going back to fundamentally who we are, but leveling it up to a point that it has the kind of reinforcement to reach people, you know? Yeah.
I think when you change a member, but I think especially when you change a drummer, whether it's intentional or not, the feel is going to be different, especially when you change a drummer, because no two drummers are the same. He could play exactly what Ruben did and it would feel different. So
yeah,
it makes complete sense in my eyes. I'm going to ask one more question.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no, you're going.
Before we talk about Metal to the Masses, something that I've been dying to ask you since the beginning. Where the hell do you get your costume ideas from? Because obviously you started with masks, then and now I don't know what the hell you're doing. So talk me through that.
So at our very first show, it might not have been our first show because we did an exam with Smile More, but when we did BIM Live, that was the first time in front of a big audience. So was it Ollie, you were wearing a mask and none of the rest of us were?
Yeah.
And I think one of the lecturers said, why don't you all wear masks? So you bought us a load of masks.
Yeah, so right, you can have the artistic wank explanation, and then you can have the practicality of it, right? So the artistic stance in the first instance of using the masks was Sarah Kane's whole thing was like this kind of realistic body horror, right? So the idea that like being trapped in your own body is terrifying, that vibe, you know. So 448 explores like ideas of like being hermaphroditic, and which obviously nowadays we refer to as intersex, and how uncomfortable she felt being perceived by others, which for me instantly just called on Phantom of the Opera, right? The half mask because my face is mangled, right? Like that. So all the thematics kind of lined up. So that's why I first wore a mask. Also at the time, I struggled a lot with my self-esteem, and the mask provided the buffer for me to kind of amp my personality up. And then when they turned around and got the rest of them to do it, because I realized these guys aren't particularly uncomfortable on stage either. You know, when we first started the band, it was some of the first times these guys had like gone out and gigged, you know, and the masks then helped them do the same thing. And then I think it was like a year or so in, maybe more, we were doing gigs in these masks, and the masks were slowly just crumbling away.
Yeah, just losing bits of them.
And it was like, it was almost poetic, because what was happening is the people underneath were becoming more confident. They were finding themselves, they were figuring out who they were and how they performed. And so those masks just kept breaking. And then eventually, I think it was one of the Metal to the Masses. Was it the first Bristol one we did?
Yeah, it was our first Bristol. I think it was, can't remember if it was the quarterfinal or the semi-final, but yeah, it was our first time at Bristol Metal to the Masses.
And we were in rehearsal, and we some of the feedback we got was like, perform more on stage, that sort of thing. And we were thinking about it. And then I realized, because they'd all forgotten their masks for this dress rehearsal.
I don't think, to my defense, I don't think we planned to have a dress rehearsal that day. We just decided there at the time. And of course, we didn't have our masks. So, but whatever.
So when we do a dress rehearsal, we're just going balls to the wall in a tiny room. And then I suddenly looked around me and saw all their facial expressions and their posturing, and I realized they've been doing that under the mask for the past 6 months, and we had a real good conversation about the fact that like we should get rid of them, we should remove them. I'd already removed my mask quite a while before then, and switched to makeup mainly for practicality reasons. Like that was wearing a sweaty mask and trying to sing and getting like bits of sweat in your mouth. It was not the one. And then the makeup was great because throughout the show, all these lyrics are quite devastating. The makeup would just run off my face and I'd be covered in it and sweaty and nasty. And that was better. So then they all took their masks off. And then from there, we started thinking, well, look, the mask isn't the crutch anymore. So how do you express yourself more? And that's when then the costuming started to make its way in. Like Chris jumped straight on getting himself a jester outfit because he just loved that idea. And when we were doing, God, this is ages ago now, but when we were doing the Smalemore Happy Bus release,
Yeah.
we knew we wanted like a drawn artwork, and so we provided the artist like it was a slideshow full of mood boards for each of us, and they all had these archetypal characters that everyone came up for themselves. So I think mine was the mime. Chris, yours was the marionette.
Marionette.
Yeah. Ruben's was the beast. Johnny's was the succubus, and Dale was the butcher.
Butcher, yeah.
Of course.
He loves meat. Man absolutely loves meat.
It's lamb. He loves lamb.
Yeah. And so then what ended up happening was like we did that, they drew us, and then we looked at that and went, we could bring a bit of that into the way we look on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then from there, it's just kind of gotten more and more nuanced, you know. Dale loves his apron, and the irony of the apron is it was his apron he bought because he didn't want to get wet at TGI Fridays, but it's just lovely. Stray nipple every now and then, you know. Johnny just recently bought himself a new waistcoat because he likes the looking suave and feeling confident and attractive. That's his way of connecting. And for you, like I'm pretty sure you can speak for yourself, obviously, but I think there's something about being in a jester costume that just pushes you.
Yeah, it's the one play weirdly because I am a very, very socially awkward person. I don't express myself or not especially outgoing in day-to-day life. But as soon as I'm on stage, I just can't help it. I just go completely ape shit. So being a jester, dancing around, it just fit basically. And to get all like music industry, whatever. There's a lot of cynicism right now with costumed masked bands, basically. A heck of a lot, like your Sleep Token, President, all these newer bands are coming up, and everyone's getting kind of sick of the idea of costumed masked bands. And I'm there going, but it sets them apart. If you've thought about your look and it's something creative, that's never a bad thing, in my opinion. That's not to put down bands that don't do that, but when a band puts more attention to detail, not just in their music, but in their look and their image, if that's coherent with the music, I just find that inherently more interesting. I mean, they got knocked out before the final, but Disaster Clinic, who were in the competition this year, fucking love their aesthetic alongside their
Really
music.
cool.
That's
Really
why they
genuinely
were,
cool.
that's why they were one of my favorites. I was gutted when they got knocked out, but yeah, I love coherency between the look and the music, and that's one of the reasons that I'll probably never get tired of this band because we've wanted to do
Yeah.
that from day one.
And like, one thing that's always been true to us, and I've spoken about it in every like interview or outlet we've ever spoken to, is like part of the reason this band leans so hard on performance is because that's what we care about as musicians. Watching bands do something really cool, that's what gets me there. I think the feeling of a live performance is absolutely unparalleled. Like that is what encapsulates you. That's what motivates you. That's what excites you. And a lot of the bands that we really love, they have some level of costuming. It doesn't have to be the whole band. Like I love Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie is just Rob who dresses as a cowboy from hell and John Five in a mask, but it works. Because it makes you. Sometimes it also gives you a bit of separation. You're no longer looking at people on stage. You're watching theatre. And you're reacting to theatre, and you're laughing in the right places, and you're feeling a bit of sadness in the right places because you're no longer having that personal. That's a guy on stage. They're playing a character, and you can lose yourself in those characters.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the next time I see you live will be the first time I'm seeing you without the masks. I'm very much looking forward to that.
Oh, I can't wait.
Speaking of seeing you live, let's talk about Melt to the Masses.
Let's do it.
So, what made you guys decide to enter it this year or any year?
We've been doing this for what is this, our fourth
This is technically
attempt?
our
fourth attempt at trying to get to Bloodstock.
We
My
love
band
it.
attempted it 3 times. We never got through the first live show, so you're doing better than we did.
I've seen you in a live show.
Yeah, we did the first live heats 3 times
Yeah.
and never got past that point. But we were in the London one, which was saturated to fuck.
I was
Oh
gonna
yeah, the
say,
London one I remember was messed up because they asked you when you got there, who were you here to
Yeah.
see, and that played
yeah,
in, and it was like before anyone had even played. I'm like, that doesn't seem right.
yeah. I mean, why did we start doing them? Well, I think the reason we started doing them was because there wasn't much that was pushing us. We were getting a lot of local gigs, but none of them had any stakes. And then we started to notice a little bit of internal complacency. Like not anything big, but just like there was nothing to motivate us in a real big way to push ourselves. And then we were reached out to by what's his name, Graham of the Cobblestones, to do their one in Bridgewater. Because he'd booked us before and he liked what we were doing and he thought we'd be a good fit for the bill. And to be fair, that year we did not think we'd get very far at all.
No, we thought we'd get knocked out straight away.
And somehow we ended up in the final. Um, and throughout that process, Heat 1, we just did what we did as good as we could. And then Heat 2, like once we got through, we were like, right, we have to actually do some stuff. We started writing songs. We started really refining the set. And then by the time you hit a final, then you're suddenly in a position where you're like, right, this is the best this can be right now. And so we liked that kind of marker of every year you start in a place and you end in a place. You start in a place and you end in a place. Because then for us, we know that the band is making progress, that and for networking and the community aspect, it's there's nothing quite like it, honestly. It's niche in that it's for the metal scene, but it pushes you all into a room where you realize everyone's doing a different thing, and so you're not necessarily competing with them. If that makes any sense, you're competing with the competition. Yeah, Chris. I mean, you've been in Metal to the Masses as like the scene for God knows how long. Like, what was your take?
Yeah, I've been attending Bristol Metal to the Masses, I think probably since 2019. I think the only ones I've missed are when obviously there was lockdown or Bristol didn't do one for whatever year, but I've been attending as many as I possibly can. So after we did the Cobblestones one, I think we did that because there wasn't a Bristol one that year. But as soon as there was a Bristol one available, I signed us up without even telling the guys. So it's like, guys, I would do anything to play Bloodstock.
Yeah.
It's Mike, you know this. It is our home away from home. It's the most special place in the world to me. So just one time in my life, I need to play this festival to feel complete. So Bristol Metal to the Masses comes around every year, and every year I'm like, I'll do it in a heartbeat. If Smallmore were not a thing anymore for whatever reason, Touchwood, I would set up a solo project with a wanky loop pedal and form something, and I would still sign up and do it to try and get to Bloodstock. It's just an incredible experience to be a part of, even if we don't get to Bloodstock. It's always an incredible experience to meet all of these bands, and the fact that as a kind of this swings back to what I was saying, it felt very validating when Dalen came in and loved what we did. It's really validating to see that each year that we do it, people really enjoy what we're doing. They enjoy the unique perspective that we bring to the competition because you get your death metal bands, you get your prog metal bands, you get your more metalcore bands. Then we come on, just
Yeah.
complete balls to the wall insanity, and people really resonate with it. And
Yeah.
that's been incredible to witness. It's very humbling every year to get voted all the way to the end, basically. And we really, really appreciate that.
Yeah. A lot of the conversations as well are very creatively validating. Like, you know, this year especially, it's been very, very tight in terms of competition. But what's really nice is going out afterwards and being able to celebrate with each other, with the different bands, things that we as musicians that can see what they're doing can see they're doing really well. And seeing like, being able to lift other people up as much as have ourselves lift up is really important to me. Like, and to all of us, I think we just love building that scene. I think if this year's a testament to anything, it's that the Bristol metal scene is in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, it's doing okay.
And also like, personal friendships and stuff that build off of this, they endure beyond Metal to the Masses. Me and Chris went to Morgan and Sheeran of Moon Reaper's wedding the other day. And granted, we've known those guys for years, but one of the fondest memories we have with them is doing Metal to the Masses with them. So I think the reason we do it is because it is a surefire way to remain integral to the scene. And obviously, if we get to play Bloodstock at the end of it, that is a career defining moment for all of us in our personal lives, let alone our professional lives, you know. Yeah, it's weird. The only thing I don't like about it, and I don't know if you've got a question, I'm jumping,
Right.
is I don't like feeling that our success comes at another band's detriment. That's the nature of competition, right? Nature of competition. We've seen many bands, you know, be really hard on themselves upon doing a show that was a little under what they want to do and things like that. And that's crushing because you know that you're going to be there and you're going to want to celebrate your successes. But I don't like to see other bands give up because, like, as we've said, we got to this is our fourth final technically,
Third final.
third final,
We done one in Cobbles. This is our second final in Bristol.
second final in Bristol. Okay, so three finals, and of course it always hurt to lose at the last hurdle, but that is not a reason to give up. That's a reason to push because you got right there, meaning that there is something there that you aren't doing that the rep or whoever is adjudicating wants to see. If you can figure out what that is, you will get there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking about this year specifically, how's it compared to other times that you've done it? Obviously, you've done one in a different region,
Yeah.
and obviously a second in Bristol. So, how do you think this year is comparing to other years?
This year, more than any other, I don't think you can call a clear-cut winner because every other year that even that I've attended, you can normally point to one, maybe two, maybe three, and go, it's probably going to be one of them. This year, throughout the whole competition, it has been anyone's game. To go off what Ollie was saying just then about it's going to be devastating for a lot of people, and you might feel bad about winning because it's come at the expense of another band not getting the opportunity. This final, there's going to be a lot of disappointed people in the room, whatever the result, because any one of these six bands, I'll take myself out of it. Any of those five bands could and should win if this were any other year, basically. It's it's the strongest level across the board that I've ever seen at Metal to the Masses, let alone competing.
Yeah, definitely. This year, uh, it has really felt like it has combed out some of Bristol's finest, you know. This final, Jesus, like you know, like Chris said, previous years you had an inkling, you had a little bit of behind the scenes insight from some of some people there that kind of know roughly what's going on, or judges and the like, who were just saying like, okay, I'm thinking these, and you'd have that. This year, they're all just saying, I don't know, man. We'll see on the day, which is nice because it feels the most impartial. Everyone is just giving it some welly. But yeah, like Chris said, there's gonna be a lot of disappointment in the room, and just making sure that from a band side, talking to other bands that will be doing this interview with Chris, like reach out to everyone, because just because you don't play Bloodstock doesn't mean you don't have to play a big show for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to say, well, look, why don't we do a gig together with some of the finalists? Why don't we do a little mini tour as a replacement for not doing Bloodstock? Like, there are opportunities here, and I want to kind of really ring that home, because in previous years the opportunities were there, but they felt kind of sparse. This year, very much all the bands going through are managing their bands in a way that is sustainable. So there are so many opportunities for bands to really lift each other to the point where they could just get invited to Bloodstock in years to come,
Yeah.
Is there a particular song that you've played this year that people seem to be gravitating towards?
Punch and Judy is going down a treat live. Everyone's loving that song.
I mean, you called it the Happy Bus Killer, and I think it finally happened.
I did write it to replace Happy Bus because I was sick of playing that cover, and it's worked. It's had the same effect. Everyone's dancing, they're chanting. I did it, boys.
You did it, and to be fair, I think that song as well. It shows off. Like, we're now moving into having more vocalists on stage. That song, I think, also really displays that. Chris added a harmony. Johnny sings it, I sing it. So, like, across all of us, that is a really big wall of vocal that the audience then feel like they can lose themselves in and sing along too, Yeah, that song's been going hard. That and Gay Parlay, both of
Gay
those have
Parlay,
been
yeah.
done so well this year. Well, Gay Parlay didn't exist before this year, but Punch and Judy, if I was to, that's the song that's been in our set list for a while. And to see it finally be accepted by crowds of people that don't even know us.
Yeah,
Um,
it's got a very easy to follow melody, so it's
yeah.
with when people are into it, they can quite easily join in.
Yeah,
And it's got
nice
some
one.
big drama moments, having a crowd sing Take Your Hand Out My Asshole.
Yeah,
Mwah, chef's kiss,
That's
you
very
know?
System of a Down.
Yeah,
yeah.
So,
exactly.
I know you
Yeah.
said that this year's stacked, but if there was, say, one band that you think they're the ones we need to beat, who do you think that would be?
I'll just jump in here for people watching. I've been asking every single band that question, and pretty much every other band has said. I think Vulture God put it perfectly when they said to discount any band would be a mistake because,
Yeah.
as we've been banging on, this could go to anyone at this point. When we started, like when this competition began, the two bands I was most worried about were Monochrome and Mandragora. They were the two that I thought they present themselves online brilliantly. They have absolutely nailed the getting involved on the socials and the scene and bigging up the event and whatnot. They run their operation like a proper band, and
Yeah.
that's something that I would love to be able to do with Smarma on the socials. Where I'm still getting used to how to do that kind of thing, but they've absolutely nailed that. And then I saw them live, and it just confirmed it that they're absolutely fantastic. Um, but yeah, as I say, in this final, it could truly go to anyone.
I have a personal competition. It's personal, but it's from love. It's from love. So there is one band that are like us in this competition, which is great because that never fucking happens. So a labor of love and a competition I'm actually very comfortable losing is Cruelty Circuit. Um, I love those boys; they are amazing. And then seeing them live, they are the more extreme end of what we do,
Yeah,
right?
basically, they're like us if it was like
Yeah.
just brutally heavy.
So
Right.
where we're a bit closer to the kind of rock and metal that is palatable and a bit more mainstream, they're like, yeah, so we love death metal, like we love all this really kind of intense hardcore stuff. I love them. But in my head, they're the ones that I'm going out on stage, and I'm only from a bravado and like crowd control perspective. I'm just like, yeah, I've got to do better than Cruelty Circuit.
Yeah.
And they've been, their singer's been joking the same with me the whole way through, like, oh. And then whoever goes on first, we come out with like, yeah, I riled them up for you, but
Nice.
this is your ball to fumble now,
Yeah,
Yeah.
those guys are fantastic. I
They
love
are
them.
they are great. But yeah, so for me, it's Cruelty Circuit. But I agree with Chris in terms of polish and kind of their execution. Mandragora and Monochrome are like big front runners because they've approached it from that perspective from the offset. We've been bumbling our way through for almost 6 years now,
Yeah.
and now we're starting to tidy it up, which is lovely. But we are cognizant of that and aware of that, and that's why we're putting some effort in now and really figuring out what works for us. But there are bands in this competition that already have that on the social end, and that's always a bit intimidating when you're not at the same point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you put in all the work, you play the show, then you win. How would you feel?
Fucking hell.
I mean, I've already gone off on how much I need to play Bloodstock. It would just be the most incredible moment ever if I could play that festival. It's such a huge part of my life, and genuinely don't know how I'd handle the emotion if it would happen.
Yeah, I think it would be incredibly overwhelming. Um, I think we'd cry.
Oh, definitely.
um,
Cry more.
and
Primal. Yeah.
I think it would be one of the moments that was like a rallying call for us. I think we would very much run with it. We would take that opportunity and we'd all make that priority numero uno in our lives for as long as we can ride that train. Um, yeah,
Tell me about Bloodstock. Why does it mean so much to you? Obviously, Chris, you and me have been going for donkey's years at this point.
I mean, it's just the place where I can go and be myself. That's all it is to it. It's heavy. I love the heavy metal scene. I love it here in Bristol. I love it wherever I go, and I can go to Bloodstock and there it is, unfiltered and unashamedly heavy metal.
Yeah.
And it's just a crowd of people that loving all these bands that are just so brilliantly heavy metal with all the cliches that go along with it. It's just a week where you can just do that, and there's no other place like it. I mean, there's not to take away from other festivals like Download, Arctangent, where I have had a really, really good time, but Bloodstock's just my people, and
Yeah.
I never want to leave.
I think, Chris has called Bloodstock home. I think that's pretty accurate. For me, I love Bloodstock because of the memories. Going to Bloodstock every year that I've been has never left me without an abundance of fond memories with people I care about. From a performance side, I think it is a really lovely space to meet like-minded musicians and like-minded people. So you're playing on that stage, someone takes an interest, and they found a new band at a festival that they're going to love for the next few years. And my favorite thing to do on the way home is like go through the list of bands I've seen with Chris and be like, I really like them, I really like them, and I make a big playlist. Um, but yeah, the memories, whether it was like the first year of me binge jousting and getting wrecked by a guy dressed as Puff the Magic Dragon, got judo flipped, to meeting yourself, Mike, getting
Yeah,
to spend some actual time with both of you, seeing people in bands that we know, and they're just there as punters enjoying it too. And yeah, the community of Bloodstock is unlike any festival I've been to. A lot of festivals you go to, it's almost like being in an airport, where there's people moving all around, not giving you eye contact, and it's really hard. Bloodstock's the opposite. If you're just wearing a band t-shirt of a band that someone loves, you'll get stopped at least like 4 times. Just from going, I fucking love your shirt.
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, you come away feeling whole.
yeah. I could
Yeah,
not agree more with that. That's yeah. I mean, we've been going since 2017. The only year we didn't go was the year it was cancelled, and it's phenomenal. We went one year, we went once. We're like, this is where we're coming every year.
Yeah, it's
Like,
we literally just went because Blind Guardian were playing. And that
yeah,
was no other reason. It was
yeah,
just like, fuck it, let's try Bloodstock. We just came away going, This is just made for us.
yeah,
yeah.
It's
yeah,
perfect."
yeah. I know if you were to win, I'd be fuming if you clashed with Emperor. So
Oh
if
my
was there,
God,
is there one
yes.
band that you really don't want to clash with? Obviously, you
Let,
can't clash with headliners,
let
but
me get up
Yeah,
the
let's do it.
let's get up the list of bands.
yeah, if you clash with Emperor, I will have to
I'm go
kill you.
I'd be fucking fuming if we clash with Emperor. Let's see.
Of
Obviously, the Clash Finder is not accurate at all, but
course.
there's so many that I wouldn't want to clash with.
Yeah, this is a rough year.
Shrapnel, I wouldn't want to clash with.
Yeah,
Offness, Shade
Lord of the
Empire,
Lost.
uh, Dogma. I think if we clash with Dogma, that would be horrible because Dogma are Ollie. You'll want to listen to Dogma. I think
Okay,
they'll be right up your alley. They're very theatrical,
Yes.
amazing.
in your face, catchy. I think almost like in years to come, we'll be touring with that band. So we don't want to. Simon Hall, if you're watching this and we win, do not book us at the same time as Dogma because everyone who likes us should also go see Dogma.
Yeah, and everyone who likes Dogma should come see
Come see
us.
us.
Yes,
Yes.
precisely.
Creeper, I love Creeper.
Oh yeah, that's a shout.
Obituary are very, very good. It's very unlikely we'll crash with Obituary.
We're not going to clash. There's
Yeah,
no one else playing when Obituary plays.
Kublai Khan. Um, yeah, yeah. There's a few. Black Dahlia, Murder are great, but again, I don't think we'll clash with them. But yeah,
Basically, there's no point where you can play.
but put it
Like,
this way, there is going to be upset for
yeah,
us regardless.
I'm going to be Harriet. That would be
Yeah,
horrible if we clash with
yeah.
Harriet. That would be.
At least it's not like you haven't seen Harriet before.
I am so stoked that those guys are on the main stage.
Yeah,
They have fucking nailed it
yeah.
these last couple of years. Good on them. They're fantastic.
they are amazing.
So what's the rest of the year got in store for Smartmore?
We're really bad at forward planning shit.
You say that. I'm cooking.
Okay, boys, let him cook.
Let them cook. So really, like, first and foremost, obviously, so we have to block out time for Metal to the Masses. So that's going to happen. 2 weeks either side. You've kind of got to leave empty. Um, we're slowly getting releases out. So we've recorded an EP's worth of stuff. We're going to release a string of singles and then drop it as a nice full EP at the end for everyone. And they'll be coming out steadily throughout the remainder of the year. Some really cool songs that people have asked for. That, like I say, Dalen's gone on, given a new lick of paint, but then there's also a lot of new stuff in there that people, I think, will be a little bit shocked at how we've approached recording it. I think they'll be like, "Oh my god, I didn't expect that," you know. And it'll be a lot of fun. Merch wise, we are looking at kind of leaning onto more like limited runs of merch. We've got a friend now that prints merch. So he's a small local printer that when he eventually props himself up as a business, we will plug the hell out of him. But he's great. And what he's basically said to us is like for small runs, he is perfect for that. And it means that we can do some really unique ones that really help people feel like they're kind of part of Smile More history. Gig wise, so we've currently left August empty. And that's not any other reason than necessity. A lot of our guys work events. They are gone until September, more or less. Then as September rolls out, we've got a potential tour with another band that I can't really speak too much about at the moment, still kind of getting finalized. Then we've got potentially a local festival with a local metal pub, and I won't talk about that too much. And then as we round off the year, we're looking at going on a run with some friendly faces from Metal to the Masses. The cogs are still moving, so I'm not going to announce anything until it's finalized, but there should be plenty of Smile More up and down the country as 2025 rolls out. And that should put us in a position in 2026 where we can then start gallivanting up and down the Southwest. That's what's on the horizon, I think. Yeah.
That's very exciting.
What does the band say? Big things coming.
Big things are coming
Big
all over my face.
smiles are coming. That nicely wraps up the main questions of the morning. It is the morning as we record this, which is why we're drinking coffee and not beer, which is quite unusual for these videos. Anyway, as we like to do on Crushing Sounds, is a lightning round. Silly little questions.
I am so excited to be on this side of it for this.
Quick fire questions, some kind of obvious, some hopefully a little bit obscure. You can elaborate on your answer, or you can just say, I'm not willing to disclose that information. Whatever works best.
You're a much more amicable host than I am.
You will answer. Yeah. All right, here we go. This first one, probably quite an obvious answer. Favorite bloodstock food vendor? Go.
Oh, Bunny Chow.
Bunny Chow.
Bunny Chow all the way.
I knew that was coming.
Nothing else comes close.
Yorkie Pud might kill you. Just go Bunny Chow.
I think they're probably still banned, aren't they?
Probably.
Well, yeah.
Close second, mac and cheese.
No.
Oh, I used to like the mac and cheese until they hiked their prices up. My second place, paella. Paella is banging.
All right,
it's a bit pricey, but
it is, but it's lovely.
I mean, Bunny
it will
Chow.
sort you out on the Sunday.
You can't beat Bunny Chow.
Bunny Chow all the way. The song that you're most proud of?
Oh. I mean, my mind immediately went to Punch and Judy because of how well the audience have responded to it. But I think sort of for me, like the big emotional moments would either come from Morning Glory or that chorus of System Overload.
Yeah.
So I've literally gone for songs I've written. But
okay, I've got a split. So, song I'm most proud of for making it is "Thank You for Having Me." It's the most authentic approach to writing I think I've ever had, and I think that was nice because I was writing in service of someone else, and I think that really helped. So yeah, "Thank You for Having Me" is the one I'm personally most proud just exists because it was the first personal song we'd done. But in terms of the quality of the product at the end, like me, a song I would listen to is System Overload. I think it just somehow just hit everything we wanted it to hit, Yeah,
Nice.
very proud of that one.
Nice. Thank you for having me. It's probably my favorite Smartmore song. So I'm glad you
Hey,
mentioned that one. Death metal or black metal?
Oh, you bastard.
don't really listen to either. But in terms of thematic, black metal.
Oh, shit.
He's having an aneurysm.
Well, symphonic black metal is one of my favorite styles of metal, but man, do I love death metal so much. I think if I take subgenres and crossovers with other stuff out of the equation and just look at the two raw, it'll probably be death metal.
Fair enough. I switch between the two all the time.
Yeah.
What about
But
Black and Death though?
that's a cop out.
That's
Cop
the
out.
goat. That is
Cop
the
out.
best. That is the
Absolute
best.
cop out.
though.
Would you rather face 100 duck-sized Kerry Kings or one Kerry King-sized duck?
One Kerry King size duck.
He's quite short anyway, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's a unit.
But he's a duck. He's got spindly legs.
I just got had this image of 100 mini Kerry Kings playing a guitar solo at the same time. It would be the most horrible, horrible noise. So I'm going to have to go with the one Kerry King-sized duck.
It's a duck.
I was wetting myself when I wrote that down. Something you can't live without.
I mean, I have to say my girlfriend, don't I?
Don't have to.
No, fuck her. Um, uh, pro- probably just. I mean, it's going to sound cringy, but heavy metal just has to be.
Smile more.
Hey,
My answer would be coffee.
nice.
Where was the best crowd you've ever performed to?
The last Metal to the Masses, probably. That was a great one.
There's been a few really good moments. I mean, what's nice is like we're not a massive band, so you get to spend time with that crowd outside of playing music, right? In terms of turnout and in terms of like, wow, that was a big room. Would have been Metal to the Masses last time, right? When we got to the final. In terms of like, I don't know, just people giving it some welly and loving it. Like, I really enjoyed the Devil's Dog show up in Digbeth
that was great.
with the Masquerade. That was lovely. That was really good.
Nice. Album or single?
Album. I always listen to albums in full. I don't get people who just put on one song and then listen to something. Put on albums, people. Bands make albums for a reason.
Yeah, I want to say album. I really want to say album, but unfortunately, because of the way that music has gone and I like discovering new stuff, I have to say single nowadays. It's changed me, and it's a shame. I love when a band I love drops an album and I get to listen to the whole thing. But how I find new music, how I engage with most music, unfortunately, it's now singles.
Would you rather face 100 duck-sized Dave Mustaines or one Dave Mustaine-sized duck, aka Duck Mustaine?
Dave Mustaine's actually kind of tall. I mean, hello, me! Just from 100 little Dave
100
Mustaines.
little Dave Mustaines. Did you know I was in Metallica?
Just for the comedic impact, I think I'll go for 100 duck-sized Dave Mustaines.
I would love to just piss off as many of them as I could by just shouting Metallica at them or just pointing a laser pointer in their face. Just try and rile them up. It would be hilarious.
Definitely.
We need to make a Duck
I will
Mustaine
crowd
t-shirt.
surf on the mini Dave Mustaines.
God, you imagine if you had a giant inflatable Duck Mustaine at a Megadeth show,
Yeah.
he would kick off.
It's Duck Mustaine.
He hates that shit.
Yeah. Right, important question now. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Fuck
Yes.
no. Fuck no.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
Yes. I'll tell you why. Because food has no rules. Sweet and savory, baby. It's not as bad as everyone makes out. Is it sacrilegious in Italian circles? Of course. I was almost massacred by the Italian head chef I worked under at a pizza place when I asked him, "Where's the pineapple?" But he was wrong. He give the people what the people want.
Sure. Fantasy.
Hang on, Mike. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
No, of course it doesn't.
Hey.
Moving on. Fantasy or sci-fi?
Oh, fantasy. I love
Yes,
both. I love both, but
I was gonna
fantasy.
say, like me and Chris been talking a lot about Final Fantasy recently, right? And
Yeah.
that bridges that line just right.
Yeah.
Um, but if I had to pick one, it would be fantasy.
Horror or thriller?
Ooh.
Mm.
That's
Now,
such a
see,
that's such a broad spectrum because there's
yeah,
so many different types of horror,
I was
but
gonna
a
say,
really good thriller is just nail-bitingly brilliant.
I'm
I'm
gonna,
gonna say horror.
yeah, I was gonna say the same. I think thrillers sounds awful, can get quite fatiguing.
Mm.
Whereas there is such variety of horror, like on the one hand, you've got killer clowns from outer space. On the other hand, you have like, I don't know, fucking The Exorcist, right? Like, yeah, horror is more appealing and a lot more fun.
Yeah,
Sweet or savory?
savory.
Sweet baby.
Favorite season?
Probably spring, like the at the tail end of spring. And just for what we had before this fucking heat just came in.
Uh, I like early winter. So like you've had autumn, you've had some pretty colors, and then you just see the bleakness encroach on a colorful world. Like all the trees start shedding. It starts getting cold. I prefer the cold than the heat. So yeah.
I can't
Uh,
stand the cold.
to wrap it up with the most important question, what's your go-to curry order?
Hey, now we're talking. It's been very food heavy.
I didn't. Well, there's been
Were you
two food.
hungry when
Well,
you wrote these questions?
three food questions.
Go-to curry, pilau rice, keema naan, Bombay potato, but my main is always and forever lamb vindaloo.
Yeah. Okay. So I usually go for a garlic coriander naan. I really love paratha. Paratha's banging. I go for some onion bhajis. I grab a lamb madras, and I go for either a pilau rice, or if some places do it, which is like a deep fried garlic rice, I go for that.
So that was going to be the end, but I've just thought of one more, which is the question that you used to open with, Chris. But I thought, what a great time to bring it back. Do you like Ghost?
Fuck yes, love Ghost.
Fucking love Ghost.
Oh,
Come on, have you
fucking,
seen our band? We
fucking,
love Ghost.
of course we like Ghost.
Yeah. I just thought I'd bring that back for old time's sake. Anyway, that concludes our time here. Thank you for joining me. I guess that's what I'm supposed to say here.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you so much, dude, for jumping in and doing this for us. Really appreciate it, buddy.
That's all right. I will see you both at the final at
Damn right.
Bristol Exchange. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but get tickets.
It's on July 13th. Check out
July
that link
13th.
down. Check out that link down below.
Check
However,
out that link down below.
by the time this goes out, it will probably be sold out.
Like and subscribe to Crushing
Like and
Sounds.
subscribe.
Smash that like button,
Smash
ring
the
that
like
little
button.
bell.
Yeah.
Head bang into that notification bell.
Yeah.
Circle pit into that subscribe button.
Mosh pit all your way into supporting the channel. And yeah.
Go support live music, particularly the underground.
And check out here all the other interviews Chris has done with this year's Metal to the Masses
Or is it over
Bristol
here?
finalist. It could
Or
be
is
over
it,
here.
or is it
Or
over
is it
here?
down
It's
Or is it-
somewhere.
Is it there? It's it's in this remit.
Yeah, I'm sure they've been amazing. I don't know when ours is coming out. The ones that I've seen so far are brilliant. And away from Smile More for a second, it feels like a real honor to be part of this amazing thing that Chris has built off his own back for the local scene. So thank you very much,
yes.
Chris.
Hell yes.
This has been a long time coming.
Yeah, man.
Get your smile more on here.
You get your one the next time you pay.
Yeah. Cool. I've been Chris. That's Mike. That's Ollie. We've been Smile More and Mike hosting it today. Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you all for watching. Go listen to some amazing heavy metal, and we'll see you in the next video.
Duck Mustaine.
Bye.